Good morning and welcome to Heartland Dual Sport. We are starting what's going to be a 2,500 mile round trip adventure. Thanks for tuning in and let's go ride.
Love you. Go have the adventure of a lifetime.
Love you.
I love you too, baby. Go have the time of your life. Going on a grand adventure.
This is going to be day one. We're going to be doing a moto camping trip. All the way there, we have left ourselves open and possibilities of staying in a hotel or whatever. If we need to, we'll do that. But right now, we're on our way to Lincoln State Park, and that's going to be where we're shooting for to hit today. And then we're going to continue going east. You guys may be asking yourself what's out east, and I'm just going to leave it at this. It's something that's long overdue. I've been needing to go do, and I've been needing to go see, and it's at the top of my bucket list. But I'm not going to lie, this is the longest motorcycle trip that I've taken, especially when you start considering I'm going solo. The only thing I've got is me and my gear and the good Lord up above watching over me. So it's going to be a good, safe trip. It's going to be an awesome trip. Well over a couple of weeks now I've been planning this trip. So I will say this. You guys have already watched the video on the Trail Max Mission tires. That's what we spooned on right before we left on this trip. The reason we spooned those tires on is they're supposed to be really good mileage tires, high mileage tires. Most of this trip we're going to be running old back roads, and that's just going to make the trip a little less stressful having brand new tires on. Now I will say this, in that initial impressions video, if I get this bike up to around 75, it started having a little bit of a wobble. I did go ahead, pull that front tire back off, put a new tube in it, and re-spooned it on and rebalanced it, and was able to get better speeds out of it. So I also lowered the front tire for 29. I think maybe that's going to help as well. We are wearing our climb gear because we're anticipating riding through rain, if not one, but several days. It's going to take me 5 days to get there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the sun's kind of coming across the top of them trees over here into our right side. It was just really pretty. You can see the beams of sunlight right across the tops of them, but I may have missed it. I will say this, as I started out this journey, I had my GPS pre-programmed for the trip and the route that I was going to be taking that day. And I've got to say, I've got to brag on Garmin for just a little bit, because I had gone into the settings and I'd programmed it to where I was going to stay off the big highways, the interstates, no toll roads or anything like that. I wanted this to be a multi-day camping trip. I knew I had pre-planned several state parks to camp out along the way, and part of my prerequisite for that was going to be, number one, I needed electricity, and number two, just a campsite. But the biggest deal being electricity, because we're going to be trying to video this and bring you guys the trip as we experience it, and I'd have to have a way to recharge everything. Secondary to that, it was super hot, As you guys know, it's hot here in the summertime in East Texas, as well as a good portion of the United States is extremely hot. So heat was going to be a huge factor. I'm so thankful that I had got the Camelback. When I originally was making this route and programming it into my GPS, I was originally planning on going to Miller's Ferry Campground, which is roughly 500 miles. I was going to leave on Tuesday, July 5th. However, the more I thought about it, I didn't want to ride that hard, and I wanted this trip to be fun and see a lot more sights. So I decided to leave Monday, July 4th, 2022. By cutting the trip in half and making it closer to a 250-mile day each day, it just made the ride so much more pleasant, and I was able to just go slower and take the back roads. I don't remember for sure how far it was with the GPS that I was using, because it would actually pre-route you on back roads that you weren't ordinarily going to see if you was just using like Google Maps, for example. And at one point we were basically down to a gravel road, and I just kind of giggled and chuckled to myself, and I said, I'm going to take in all this beauty. I'm going to be glad that I've got the AAA in case I run out of gas. And I'm glad that I'm here, because what an adventure. This is not like taking the interstate. I'm seeing stuff. I've actually seen deer, I've seen turkey, I've seen some animals. I'm not sure what they were. It wasn't a marmot, so I don't know. I can't tell you what it was, but I was just fascinated by all the things that I was able to see, all the beautiful picturesque farmhouses and some of the old school stuff that you're just not going to see riding the big roads. And again, we made it to camp safely. I did find a gas station before I rolled up to camp, and we set up camp and just got ready for the next day. I already had pre-programmed in day 2 of the trip. One of the key moments in today's trip when we was riding to Lincoln Lake State Park is we went by the tail end of the Natchez Trace National Park. Natchez Trace is a well-known historical route that has a lot of history to it. Don't worry about looking that up right now, because later on this fall, David, Renee, and Angie and we're going to be taking that route, so we're going to share that route with you as well. But one thing that I do want to point out, at the end, by where I went by, as the trail ends, there's a chicken place that's supposed to have the best chicken in the entire world. And I thought to myself as I was going by here, because it just seemed like a great place to stop and eat, and I decided, no, we're not going to eat there today, because when I go there, I want to be there with David, Angie, and Renee, and I'm going to let David buy. We went to Lake Lincoln State Park in Wesson, Mississippi, and I've got to tell you, this park did not disappoint. It was very nice, it was very clean, and it was very friendly. One of the things that I do want to point out is, as I was traveling throughout the day, I would pass by a Sonic or McDonald's or one of those places as I was going through some of these smaller towns, and I really just wanted to try to experience something that I wasn't going to get back home. Everybody's got a McDonald's, everybody's got a Sonic, and I wanted to go and eat a place that just was going to add to the memory and add to the adventure of this trip. But my goal was to get to camp early and then go eat somewhere nice. So as I rolled up to the state park, I realized that there was a little shop across the street, and it looked potentially like it could actually be a place that would have a home-cooked meal. I rolled into camp, paid for my campsite, and I got camp set up. And then I got back on my bike and I rolled across the street. It was a very nice place. The owner there was extremely helpful, and he told me, he said, it's July 4th. He said, everybody's packing up and going home. I don't have a whole lot. He said, generally I do a big cookout. And he said, I already did that for the weekend, but it's all gone. He said, however, I would be willing to make you a cheeseburger or some chicken strips or something like that. So he actually made me 4 chicken strips, and then he made me a cheeseburger to go, because I hadn't really ate much all day. And my buddy David kept telling me I needed to make sure that I hydrate and I eat well on this trip. So I sat down in the air condition and visited with him for a little bit, and we talked about my plans and where I was headed and what I was going to go see and do. And he gave me a few extra tips, and that's one of the things that I enjoy about these small towns and the small restaurants, is he offered up some different advice on some different routes that I could take. I set up the tent, and Angie texted me and said rain's on the way, because she was watching the radar. And I was able to get in the tent and sit down after having a nice good chicken strip dinner, and it started raining. And it was actually a blessing because it cooled off. The weather cooled down, and it was just a great trip. Another interesting fact while I was setting up camp at Lake Lincoln State Park is there was a young man, and he was riding his little BMX bike, and he had ridden by a couple of times while I'm setting up camp. At this point, I've got camp set up to a science. I can generally have everything off of my bike and my entire camp set up in less than 20 minutes. This boy had rode by more than once, and then he rode by his final time by, and he said, "Hey mister, you're fixing to get wet. Are you planning on sleeping in that tent?" And I just laughed and thought to myself, I'm not sure that I could be wetter than I am now, because I rode through a lot of heat, and I'm so looking forward to a shower. But it was just absolutely awesome that the young man was intrigued by my setup, that he rode by multiple times trying to figure out what I was going to camp in when I rolled up to this campsite. And he and his brother rode by several times and made small talk. Eventually their dad came down and visited with me, and we just had a really good visit. It was just another one of those encounters that you can't foresee, you can't plan, nor can you expect. But I met some really nice people there, and they basically welcomed me with open arms. The very next morning when I got up, it was still raining, and I packed up camp. If you haven't watched the camping video that I posted last week, you might check it out on ways you can pack up your camp and keep everything that's wet on the wet side, and keep everything dry that you need dry, like your sleeping bag, etc., dry. That's how I packed up camp that morning. Again, with it raining so much, I did not take a video of this state park that I stayed in. However, if you'll look for links below, I'll share some other videos on YouTube with smaller channels who have actually toured this state park, and you can get additional information from them by watching their channel. And again, that's part of our goal with this channel, is we want to encourage you to get out and go places and see stuff. I hope that the stories that we've shared with you today help motivate you to get out and maybe try something new. As we end this video, I want to leave you with these final thoughts. The future is not carved in stone. It isn't even written in pencil on the back of a napkin. They who fear to take a risk will never know the reward. I hope this has been encouraging to you, and that you want to get out and take some of the trips that you've been putting on the back burner. Again, we appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes. Please share our videos with others, and may you all have a blessed week. One of the key moments of the trip for today, we actually rode by the ending of the Natchez Trace National Park. Right outside the Natchez Trace, this panned out pretty good and you were able to see what was going on, but we got camp set up. We're at the very first stop of this, probably what's going to end up being a 5-night stay. We're headed to the East Coast. As many of you know, that's where we're headed. So we're going to be going to Myrtle Beach, and right now we're basically a quarter of the way there. So we've got, tonight we got camp set up. We know that we're going to be running into potentially some rain, and I knew there was potentially some rain, and it actually clouded up here at camp. I was able to get camp set up, and I'll show you around camp real quick. It's nice, easy camp, but it is pretty warm still. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we made good time. We've gone up and taken a shower. I don't know that that does any good because it's so hot and humid here. You can probably hear the thunder in the background, but we've got, like I say, the bike's set up, camp set up. We're going to stay the night here, get up probably 7 o'clock tomorrow. Our next goal on this leg is we're going to do another, I think it again's about 250, 300 miles, and it's going to be a run to something Shoals. We're in Mississippi right now, so it's something Shoals in Alabama. and I don't remember for sure, but I do have it plugged into my GPS, and I've got it front and center up here, so we'll be ready to rock and roll in the morning. But I think that's going to be about it. Right now it's still raining, and as soon as it quits raining, I'll go outside. I am trying to dry off my shorts and towel and that kind of stuff, and right now I think it's just I don't know. We got the fan going. Tomorrow evening we're planning on staying in a cabin if they've got any available. They had some online. You couldn't reserve them unless you did, I think you had to do a 2 or 3 day reservation, and I only plan on staying there one night. So hopefully tomorrow night we can get there and get set up and get at least one night in a. And you know what, guys, if I'm soaking wet and all my stuff's wet tomorrow, which I think we got a pretty good chance of running through the rain all day tomorrow or part of the way through, I may just get a motel room near the lake. I don't really care, but we're going to have to, number one, dry off, and we're going to have to be able to get some sleep. I don't know how well I'll sleep tonight with this heat and humidity. You can see I've got my fan that I told you I was bringing, and it's running full blast right now. And it is helping, but it's a little warm, my friends. All right, that's going to be it. That's probably going to wrap up day one of this video. So guys, if you like our video, give us a big thumbs up. We appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes. I don't want this to be an extremely long series, so we'll probably just do each day as we go. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. This is it's been kind of a nerve-wracking day. You know how we've talked about, if you watch the videos in the past, your first day at work's always a little bit nerve-wracking, and since I've quit my part-time job that I was working, and I'm going to be trying to do the YouTube full-time, this is basically day one of a first big adventure that I've done since I quit. So again, this is a solo camping trip. We're here in Mississippi. Oh, something fun, maybe a little bit of foreshadowing. But if you guys have never heard of the Trace, Google it. Tankerman told me about it, and we actually went by the entrance to the Trace today. It's a national park, and me and him are going to go ride some of that sometime. So anyhow, appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes. May you have a blessed week, and share this video. Again, guys, we can't do this without you, so thanks a lot.